Welcome, Lee here from Play Guitar Academy with another Why They Work lick video. I'm going to take 5 basic pentatonic licks. I'm going to use some simple tricks to get very advanced results. And for each one, I'm going to take the time to let you know why they work. And when you understand why they work, they are yours and you can use them all over the place. But before we start, if you're stuck playing in only 1 or 2 places on the fretboard, you are being held back. To get the most out of these lick lessons, it's time that you open up the fretboard. So click the link in the description and download my free Big 4 scale pattern worksheet so you can start changing your guitar playing and feeling comfortable playing all over the fretboard. Okay, let's get started with the licks. Today we're playing in the key of E, and we're mostly using the E minor pentatonic scale pattern number 1. Okay, let's take a look at lick number 1. This is called sequences. We're going to be using little groups of notes that move across the scale pattern in an orderly way. These are great for if you're playing over a backing track and you just don't have any ideas. You're just not sure what to do. You can always use a sequence and it's going to make an interesting sound, even if you're not inspired. So if you look at this, we have this minor pentatonic scale. We're playing mostly at the top of pattern 1. And if you look at the first 3 notes, we start with the tonic note, we go back a note, which is the flat 7th, and then back to it. And then we move on to the next one. This is the next note in the scale pattern. This is the 12th fret. We go back a note and come back to it. We're going to repeat that pattern all the way up till we get to the 12th fret. And then the next note, next note, next note. And then we're going to go all the way up to the back to the E. So that's our B note, which is the 5th, the D, which is the flat 7th, and back to the tonic note, which is the E. So all together. This has a 3 feel. If you can hear the accents, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Every time I start a group of 3 going up, we play it a little bit louder than the other notes. And it gives a really nice, even though that these are 16th notes, but it has that feeling of 3 going on over a 4 feel. And so next, on the way back, we're going to change it up. We're not going to do a 3 at all. We're going to do straight 16th notes. You can hear that 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. And we start with the E, and this time we're going back down the scale. No new notes, just straight from the scale. So we have E, D, which is the flat 7th, B, which is the 5th, and then A, which is the 4th. Then we'll do the same idea, but this time starting with 1 note down. This time we start with the D. We're going to go down 4 notes. D to B to A to G, which is the minor 3rd now. Now we're going to start that same idea, but starting with the 12th fret this time. So this is going to be B, A, G, E, E. Lick number 2, a half step behind chord tones. We need to know a little bit about this. We need to know what notes in this scale pattern are actually in the chord. And what chord are we playing over? Well, in this instance, we're playing blues. So we're playing over an E dominant 7th. The notes in the E dominant 7th are E, G sharp, B, and D. So if we can find those notes, we're going to make a big deal about them by doing something pretty interesting. We're going to play a note half step below the chord tone. So if E is our note, we're going to play a half step below that. That would be a D sharp or an E flat. That's not in the key. Those are not correct notes, but because they are so close to a chord tone, they create tension and they resolve very nicely. So in this first lick, we start with the E, the tonic at the 12th fret. We go up to the minor 3rd, which is 15 on the high E string. And then instead of going back to the 12, we're going to kind of surround it. We're going to go back to the 11th fret. There's our D sharp, and it wants to go up. You can hear it wanting to resolve back to the strongest note, E. Now, take a look at the next one. We're going to start on the B string at the 12th fret this time. Same pattern, but this time we're going to do the same thing around the B note. So we're going to go B up to the D, which is our flat 7th. And this time we're going to go past it a half step below. And that is our sharp 4 going into the 5. We're resolving to the B. So both of them together, you hear the note that really wants to resolve up. We're working our way down the scale, doing these great ideas. Now, check this out. So we have 14th fret for our next note. That is an A note. That's our 4th. And it's going to go up to the 5th. Now, in our scale pattern, in our minor pentatonic, we have this G note here. This G note, you think, well, okay, we'll just go back a half step behind our scale pattern. That's what we did the other 2 times. But our chord is different than our scale pattern here. Our chord has a G sharp in it, but the scale pattern has a G. So this note in the scale pattern already is a half step behind our chord tone. And we resolve that by adding the major third, the note in between the 2 notes on the G string right there. And then I just end it with a very simple pentatonic lick. In lick number 3, we're going to be doing something that's a very traditional sound. Something that a lot of players do. You do it in a lot of different styles of music. You hear it in bluegrass, you hear it in country, you hear it in blues, you hear it in rock and roll. We're going from the minor third to the major third, especially over a dominant 7th chord. We love to hear that sound. It's tense note to strong note, right? And it's sad going to happy. This is something you hear in like Johnny B. Good, all sorts of very, very basic blues songs use this idea. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm starting on the 14th fret. This is our E on the D string up there. That's our tonic. And then we're going to go straight across, kind of like we're playing a barred A chord here. We're going to have both 14th frets. That's the A and the C sharp. And then we're coming back to our first finger bar at the 12th fret on the D and the B string. So far, it's a very traditional blues type sound. But instead of going back to the root like you would like a John Lee Hooker type song, we're going to resolve this minor third. That's the G note on the G string, 12th fret. And we're going to hammer on to the 13, which is our major third, which matches our chord perfectly, right? As we go down, now we're back on our tonic note, our E, and we're going just straight down the scale. E to D, which is the flat 7th, to B, which is the 5th. Now we're going to have our sharp 4, flat 5 here. So this is the blues scale at the 13th fret. Now to the 12th fret to our 4th. Now, before we get to our next place where we resolve, I'm going to have a little ghost note. So I'm going to play my open A string, but mute it. And then go to the 10th fret on that same string, on the A string. And that is our G. That's the minor third coming into the major third, which sounds really nice over top of our E 7th chord. Now, a lot of people play this minor third to major third right up here on the G string. It sits really nicely in that pattern. But not a lot of people go back here on the A string in the kind of lower extension of pattern 1 in pattern 5. And do the same resolution, minor third to major third. Sounds very nice on a low string. In lick number 4, we're going to start using some chromatic notes. What that means is we're going to start using some of the notes in between our scale notes as passing tones. And the ones we're going to choose today are very interesting. They can all be used in other situations as well too. So what I thought would be fun for this is I would play the first lick plain and pentatonic, minor pentatonic sounding all the way. And then we move on to the second lick where I take the same notes, but this time use chromatic notes to connect them and get some interesting sounds. So let's take a look at the just regular pentatonic part of this. We have our E, our tonic at the 14th fret on the D string. We're going to the minor third G, to the 4th, which is A, back to the minor third G, back up, and then all the way up to the B string, 12th fret, so that's our 5th. And then we just do the same notes in a different order on the way back. But now what we're going to do here is we're going to start with our E this time and go to our minor third just like we did before, but this time we're going to work our way up chromatically. So this 12 to 13, G to G sharp, we saw that in our last one with the minor third to major third. So we start off with that. Tonic, minor third, major third. Now we're going to keep going up step by step by half step actually. So now we're going to our 4th. That's the 14th fret. On the 15th fret, we have our sharp 4 or flat 5, and that wants to go up one more to the 5th. You hear that? I can hear all those notes leading up, leading up, leading up. Now, what I want to do is I want to continue doing that, but I'm going to start down on the major third this time. So same upward progression, major third to 4th, to sharp 4 to 5. So if I put those together, so a really neat sound, very chromatic, but still strong note, weak note, strong note, weak note. It's very cool stuff. And then we're going to finish it off with 12 to 13, which is our minor third to major third and to our tonic. Our last lick is a 1-string lick. I love 1-string licks. And what this one is doing is taking our minor pentatonic scale. We're not adding any other notes like we did in some of the other ones. This is straight from the scale, but it's going across all of the different patterns, starting in pattern 2 to pattern 3, 4, 5, and back to 1. So it's, I think it sounds great. It's a traveling string. And if you played the same lick in one position, it would not sound the same. This seems to, as it goes up the fretboard on one string, it seems to build intensity as you go. And what's going to be neat about this is you could pick this one straight, or you could do this one legato as well too, and get a really nice sounding lick. So here we have in the beginning, we start off on our E, just like we have on almost every single, actually all of them. And we're going to go E to D to the open B string, and then back up to the E, and we're going to finish off this segment on a slide up to the 8th fret. So going into the pattern 3. I like that slide there. I didn't write the slide in, but I like that. It sounds great. Now we're going to do the same exact thing, but using pattern 3 instead. So we'll take the 2 notes from pattern 3 on that string, open B string, and then back up to them. And then we're going to slide up to the beginning of the next pattern. So that was G, E, B, E, G, A. And now in our next measure, we're going to have a little bit different system here. So we're going to start with the B note at the 12th fret to the 10th fret, which is the A. So it's 5 to 4 to open string, then back up to the front note, 5, and use that to slide up to the next pattern. So then we have 15, 12. So that is our D flat 7 to the 5th, right? Open B string, and use that front note, the 15th, to slide up to the next pattern. And then we finish this off with 17, which is our tonic note, to the flat 7, to the open B string, back up to the flat 7, and back up to the tonic note. Thanks for playing along today, and thanks to all of our Academy members over at PlayGuitarAcademy.com who are tearing into the tab and guitar profiles from this lesson right now. Don't forget to download my Big 4 scale worksheet to make all of this easier for you. And as always, let me know what you think in the comments. Have a great practice. I'll see you in the next lick video.